Alrighty then, Econ 100. Welcome to Monopoly. What a great board game, right? I played a lot of Monopoly growing up. You know what I learned the secret to winning Monopoly is? To be the banker so that you can cheat everybody. Capitalism at its finest, right? At least when I play with my kids, I feel like I'm allowed to cheat my kids. So I always make sure that I'm the banker. I control the finances, and I make sure to slip myself a few bills when they're not looking. That's how I win Monopoly. But maybe that's not right. Maybe you should be a little bit fairer than that. But here we're going to be talking about our Monopolies. Last time we talked about perfect competition. Our Monopoly is really going to be the polar opposite of that. So what is our monopoly? The monopoly is the sole seller of a product with no close substitutes. They're the only game in town. They have the power. They have power over prices. If you remember back to perfect competition, a firm in perfect competition, they're a price taker. They have no control over the price. The market is going to dictate the price to the firm. Here with a monopoly, well, the firm is the market is the firm. There is only one firm in the market. So they are going to have power over the price. They are going to get to set the price. How do they want to set the price? They're going to want to set the price based on what it does to their revenue, what it does to their profits, right? So here again, we're looking now at a firm in perfect competition versus a monopoly. So the firm in perfect competition, you see they have that horizontal demand curve, that perfectly elastic demand curve. They have no power over the price. They can't raise or lower the price. But our monopoly, they have a downward sloping demand curve. That's showing that they do have power over the price. They can raise the price or they can lower the price to try to increase their revenues and then eventually increase their profits. Remember, what they want to do with their prices to raise revenue, it depends upon where you are on that demand curve. It depends upon the elasticity, the price elasticity of demand. Sometimes you want to lower the price to raise revenue. Sometimes you want to raise the price to raise revenue. It depends upon elasticities. And here, because there's no competition, because they're the sole seller of a product with no close substitutes, they're the only game in town, they have the power to set that price. So here we see a downward sloping demand curve for the monopoly. Again, the firm is the market is the firm. There's only one firm in the market. So like I said, they get to play the elasticity game. Now I'm going to kind of rename that. I'm going to rephrase the elasticity game as the output effect game versus the price effect game. So they get to control the price. Now they know when they change the price, that's going to affect the quantity. What they're after is to maximize profits just like any other firm. They know that when they lower that price, the quantity is going to go up. So if by lowering the price, the quantity goes up by a larger percentage and the price goes down, that increases their overall revenues and can lead to higher profits. Sometimes you raise the price, that decreases the quantity, but if the quantity goes down by a lower percent than the price goes up, well, then you just raise your revenues and hopefully increase your profits. So the monopoly has the power to do that. They are a price maker. They control the price. So here, when they're looking at whether they want to raise or lower the price, what they're comparing is the output effect to the price effect. The output effect is just the effect that quantity has on revenue. The price effect is just the effect that prices have on revenue. So when you lower the price, well, the price effect tends to lower our revenue, but by lowering the price, the quantity goes up, so the output effect tends to want to increase the revenue. So they are comparing those. They're playing the elasticity game. They're playing the output versus price effect game to determine where they want to set the price in order to maximize their profits.